Wonderful to see you all again on this magical voyage that we call Myths and Mustaches. I'm your host, Captain Mustachio, and today I'm joined by my first mate, Rick.
Hey.
And we've got a special announcement, and it's actually going to replace our pirate fact today because it is that huge. But as always, we want to welcome you if this is your first time listening. Which it shouldn't be, because this is chapter 8. So you're either blind or dumb if you pick this chapter first. So why don't you go back to the beginning, you big idiot? Yes, stupid. But this is Myths and Mustaches, a glorious pirate audiobook podcast about our buccaneering adventures on the high seas, looking for treasure, trouble, and hot babes.
So true, so true.
But let's get to our special announcement. I know what you're thinking. And no, we did not get a celebrity guest on the show. Annie Bonny was pillaging in Cuba, Sam Bellamy was fighting off British soldiers in the Bahamas, and Channing Tatum was a hard pass. But, Rick tried very hard to recruit him in what eventually Mr. Tatum called a harassment suit. But what Rick would define as just calling it love.
All love, baby, all day.
Anyway, our wonderful news is that we, drumroll please, finally have our first sponsor, guys. It is official, first ever. So without further ado, here it goes. Today's podcast is brought to you by Billy Bob's Barnacle Buffing Bonanza Barn.
Wow.
Got problems with barnacles on your bow?
Yup.
Mollusks on your mast?
Preach.
How about starfish on your sails?
Last week.
Or those pesky tube worms in your poop deck?
Oh,
Well,
what?
Billy Bob has the solution. Using new technology known as scraping, our technicians will get your ship's underbelly looking ship-shape in no time for low cost. Because when you choose Billy Bob's, you get nickel-saving prices. Whoa.
Yeah, that's bad. So you try them out yet?
Yeah, they gave us a freebie for the ad plug.
And how was it?
I'm not gonna lie, bro. It kind of sucked, actually. Yeah, it's cheap, but you get what you pay for. This dude, he shows up. He has no hands. Literally, his hands were hook hands. And he sat there trying to scrape the underbelly with 2 hooks for 8 hours. Honestly, I had more luck with Tortuga Tito's tube worm traps and tackle.
Oh, I love that place. They serve the popcorn in the lobby.
Oh, I know. Gets me every time. I am such a fatty. But they do good work. Way better than that Billy Bob guy or whatever his dumb name was.
So, we ain't getting paid for this ad, are we?
No. Probably not. Not even 1 bar nickel. Chapter 8. Killin' It with Dat Thuggish Ruggish Bone. Captain Mustachio dashed through the edge of the forest to a clearing where he could survey the arena. Most of his men were huddled in a fenced Coliseum-esque stadium with hundreds of natives sitting in the stands, hooting and hollering. At the topmost box seat stood a man who was dressed in colorful beads, feathers, and cloth. That must be the leader, thought Captain Mustachio. The chieftain rose to his feet and held out his hands, which quieted the crowd. He stepped forward to the edge of the box and called out to his people. Shouted the chief. The people erupted in cheers at the bizarre language their chieftain spoke. He pointed at the prisoners huddled at the edge of the arena. Juju, bean, puka, taco, barista, caca. With a mighty fist, he slammed his hand down on the railing. The crowd cheered, and several guards in the stands started to pull on the ropes to raise a gate. Chilling cries came from the darkness behind the cage, and disgusting tentacles started pouring out of the gate's opening. The beast had revealed itself. Standing 20 feet tall, it had the body of a serpent, the torso of a man, and the head of a gruesome and disgusting octopus. It let out a fearsome roar and pounded its clawed fists on the ground.
Oh my gosh! It's Cthulhu!
Screamed one of the pirates. Panic quickly spread over the pirates as they climbed over each other and shoved each other out of the way to try and escape the walls of the arena. The natives laughed and booed at the scared pirates and threw rocks at the ones nearest the wall. Come on, men. We are pirates of Labotingoskia. We fear nothing. We can take this disgusting squid beast on if we all work together. Come on, charge! Said the pirate named Consuela. He charged full speed at the beast, which immediately picked him up with one tentacle and ripped him in half. He swallowed the screaming half with the head and threw the legs into the stands. Several natives fought over the prized trophy remains. So, every man for himself? Yelled one of the pirates. The crew scattered in every direction and screamed like a bunch of ninnies. Cthulhu chased after the ones closest to him, ready to feed.
Look! It's the captain!
Screamed one of the pirates, pointing to the stands. The group looked up to see a man charging full speed, stepping on the heads of the natives with sword in hand.
He's come to save us!
Exclaimed another excitedly. Captain Mustachio, with the limber body of a female gymnast, backflipped into the arena with sword in hand. Where's your balls at, you sorry bunch of turd burglars? Let's kill this thing, shouted Captain Mustachio. The pirates cheered and rallied behind their captain. Those face tentacles? They're a sad excuse for a mustache. I think it's time for a trim, smiled Captain Mustachio. The beast roared and charged for the captain. The captain's feet erupted with rhythmic agility. With the dexterity of 1,000 Mexican jumping beans, he salsa danced around the beast, making it dizzy. Too hot to handle, eh? Challenged Mustachio as he sliced at the beast's backside. The creature howled in pain and spun around, knocking Mustachio's sword out of his hand. Mustachio swiped at him with his hook, but missed. The Cthulhu, seeing his opening, grabbed the captain with his tentacle and held him high to his face. It let out a beastly roar, launching fish particles and green saliva at the captain. The captain fearlessly screamed Spanish curses back at the beast. Cthulhu began to squeeze the life out of Captain Mustachio while kicking the other crewmen away as they tried to save him. Captain Mustachio had to think quickly, or the beast would soon kill him. As his airways began to constrict and the blood rushed to his head, a smile played on his lips as he remembered his ace in the hole. The captain stuck his tongue out and started fiddling with his mustache. He had to hurry, for the creature's relentless strength was causing him to lose consciousness. After what seemed like an eternity, the captain finally popped out his secret face dagger that he kept hidden in his mustache for dire situations like this. With every bit of strength he had left, The captain face-planted into the tentacle that had wrapped him. The blade stabbed deep into the tentacle, and the Cthulhu howled with pain, dropping Captain Mustachio to the ground. The captain quickly got to his feet and raced to his sword. He leaped onto Cthulhu's head with ferret-like speed. "I'm gonna dip your face in garlic butter and eat you with cheddar biscuits tonight, you little slut," whispered Captain Mustachio to the beast as he raised his blade above his head. The captain relentlessly began slicing at the Cthulhu. It was like a demented child beating on a piñata. He didn't even let up once the beast had fallen over dead. Its head completely caved in. "Hey, Captain! I got it!" shouted a voice from the stands. The captain looked up to see Pirate Rick holding the Piedra del Mar in his hand. "Good work, Rick. Now throw it!" shouted Captain Mustachio, holding out his hands. Pirate Rick launched back and tossed the jewel across the arena, and it landed safely in the hands of Captain Mustachio. "We've done it, amigos," cheered the captain with delight as he held up the jewel. The whole crew erupted with fiesta dancing. Said a familiar voice from above. 87 feet high, standing in his box seat, was the chieftain. He had Princess Reneliana with a knife to her throat. "Foolish pirate, the girl is mine. Give the jewel, we let her go, and kill the rest of you," threatened the chieftain in broken English. "Captain Mustachio, take the jewel and go. Don't listen to him. They'll kill you too," screamed Reneliana. "It ain't no thing, baby. We just having ourselves a little chat," said Captain Mustachio. The fury in his eyes was inexplicable. Mustachio looked deep in the eyes of the chieftain. "Give me the girl, or I'm gonna kill you." Oh, dude. I've seen that look in his eyes once before. My boy's power level's about to go over 9,000. Your chief is so dead, bro, chuckled Pirate Rick, who had seated himself in the stands with the other natives and was eating their snacks. "Toss me the jewel first," shouted the chief, twisting the knife slightly on the girl's neck and making her squirm. "Some warrior you are. Can't even face me like a man, so you hide behind a hostage? Is that what you are, Chiefy? A coward?" scoffed Mustachio. "Huh," grunted the chief. "You know nothing of honor." And he pushed Reneliana to the ground next to him and held up his knife. "Warriors, soldiers, heroes, you're all the same. You want to know why I beat you? It's because of that thing right behind you." Mustachio pointed, and the chieftain spun around looking for a trap. The captain did a quadruple 360 front flip 88 feet in the air and landed on the railing in front of the chief and Reneliana. The chieftain spun back around, but was too late. With a lightning-fast swipe, he picked the chieftain up by shoving his hook into the chief's left nostril. "Because at the end of the day, you're just a man. But me, I'm a pirate, and ain't nobody touch my girl." Captain Mustachio began repeatedly punching the chief in the face with his mustache. One quick movement, and Captain Mustachio flipped the chieftain over his head and off the edge of the balcony. The chief landed right on top of the Cthulhu and was no more. The captain erupted in a sexy victory dance, and then looked up at his princess. "That's how I do, baby," whispered Captain Mustachio. The moment those words penetrated her eardrums, Princess Reneliana fainted from overexposure to pure sexiness. He caught her in his arm and turned to face the natives who were still in awe in the stands. Captain Mustachio simply pointed out to the statue that he had seen when he first arrived at the campsite. Every single eye in the stadium turned to look at the idol. Everything was the same, except for the giant black mustache that had magically appeared on the statue's face. The natives were stunned. They began hooting and hollering and bowing down to Captain Mustachio, who was seated in the box. "I am your new chief, and my first order," commanded Captain Mustachio, pointing to his crew, "is that you release the captives and let them go back to their ship." The natives nodded in reverence and opened the gates for the pirates to leave the arena. The men cheered with delight at the suaveness of their captain. "Men, grab your things and quickly head back to the ship and make ready to sail," shouted Captain Mustachio. "Oi!" yelled the men as they rushed out of the Colosseum and into the jungle.
"Oh, Captain Mustachio, you're so amazing,"
said Reneliana, who had come too and was swooning with delight.
"When you threw the chieftain off the balcony to his death, I never thought I'd seen a more attractive man in my life."
"Yes, I am, aren't I?" said Captain Mustachio, with his mustache shining in the moonlight. Everything was going perfectly. The men were on their way to the ship. Reneliana was safe, and Pirate Rick was still buck naked, towel whipping random natives with a loincloth that he had stolen from one of them. Everything seemed as though it were going perfectly until it started to rain.
Hey guys, thank you all so much for listening to Myths and Mustaches. My name is Logan, and I am the creator, author, editor, and voice actor for Myths and Mustaches. The intro and outro music for Myths and Mustaches was performed and recorded by the very talented Max Faith. If you loved it like I did, go check out more of his stuff at maxfaith.bandcamp.com. That's maxfaith.bandcamp.com. And if you liked what you heard from my silly stories and want to be a sponsor for my project, you can check out more of my stuff out on my Patreon at patreon.com/mythsandmustaches. And if you're already a subscriber, then I just want to tell you that I love you. And you're kind of my favorite. And I've sometimes thought about you romantically. And if you're not a subscriber, then well, I guess we can still be friends. Again, thank you guys so much for listening and subscribing, and stay tuned for more piratey nonsense in the upcoming weeks. Sound effects for this chapter were provided by Music for Video, Dark Harmonics, and Zapsplat. All of these creators and their content can be found at www.zapsplat.com.